Hello, and once again, we are live with the Modern Mystery School UK EU podcast and YouTube channel. And today we are joined by the lovely Wendy. Wendy, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. So thanks for the invitation.
No, this is your first time on the podcast. So I am excited to find out because I know that you're a business owner. And so, you know, I was a business owner also, and so it always intrigues me to find out why, what set you off on that spiritual journey, and then how did you find the mystery school?
Yes, I used to own a staffing firm. We placed people with scientific and engineering backgrounds. But I started that staffing firm after my husband passed away. And this has been now 16 years ago. So it's been quite a long time ago. But at the time, I really thought I wanted to be successful and I wanted to prove myself, I guess. It's really not when I started it, but after I, was in it, I realized that there wasn't really a passion there. It was more this external desire for people to see me as being successful. And it was successful. I owned it for 9 years and I sold it about 3 years ago. So, but it was in the middle of, starting the staffing firm. My husband had passed away and I realized, okay, what's life all about? When someone dies, that's the question that usually comes up. What is life all about? So I started this spiritual journey. And, being a business owner, and I think you were the same, I was really all about making myself better. I read all the books. I, I was involved in a lot of round tables, and I was really voracious in trying to figure out how can I be a better business person? How can I be a better person? And I started going down the path of spirituality, and I did spiritual retreats. And eventually what I realized is that there was always something missing. I mean, the business piece gave you a lot of great information, but it didn't hit the mark, really. And so I really loved listening to the Gaia channel. And I know a lot of people, this is their introduction into the mystery school, but I saw Teresa Bullard's interview with Meredith. I can't remember her name. It was in the Open Minds show. It was the first one she did. And I listened to that in the car on the way to work every day. Just something different than, the classic self-help books. And she said something in that interview that just made me go, oh, none of the books that I've ever read have said that. And she was actually speaking about Kabbalah, but she said that doing Kabbalah would help you to fulfill your divine potential. The word was divine potential. And I was like, what does that mean? I have a divine potential? Like there's something there for me to, it wasn't like this outward view of success. It was more of an inward, looking at success and the internal. And she said, but you can't do Kabbalah, until you do a life activation. And so I went online, looked, there was someone in town, and I signed up for it without even talking to her. I just signed up on the spot.
I love that. I love that. When you know, don't you? It's like, okay, this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
And then what happened then? So you had this life activation, and did anything happen, or is there anything that you can share with us about what potentially might have changed?
Yeah, after it happened, I was like, oh, that was different. That was cool. Okay. And I had done a lot of different modalities. And I felt good, but I can't say that anything was like instant. And it wasn't until it was probably like 3 or 4 weeks later that I noticed something in my life had changed, and that I went to we have something called a state fair here, and it's pretty big. It's like one of the most well known in the country, and every day when people go, there's probably like 100,000, 200,000 people. It's big. And we went to that, and I was coming home, and I was in my mind, like I said to myself, I actually had fun. I mean, it's not that I didn't actually realize I didn't have fun before. I didn't, I wasn't aware of, it was like like my family wanted to go. I was like, okay. It wasn't like something I was excited to do. And when I sat and contemplated what the difference was, because there wasn't really anything externally that was different that year, I realized that I didn't feel everyone's energy. Like I was contained in my own energy. So it made me realize that I was always feeling everyone else's energy, and the only thing that had changed before that was that I had had a life activation. And of course there was many other things that changed, but that it was more like I received more awareness of my energy field and how I'm affected by everyone else, that I'm empathic, basically. It's like,
well, that's huge. That's huge, because it's like we keep saying, people out there don't often, it's like all of us, we don't really know that there's something that could change, because we don't know that challenge that we have, or that being an empath or being sensitive, or we don't know that our life can be upgraded even more, because we're like, okay, we're doing well, we're doing good, okay. And it's that realization, it's like, oh, I didn't know. And so that's huge when you realize that, hang on a minute, I've been feeling or sensing lots of other people's energy, and now something has shifted and changed. That's massive.
Yeah, I think it changed my life, because I truly didn't realize how much it was affecting me before. Like every day, just going to the grocery store, it was like this. And I always hated feeling that way. I was always like, why? Why do I feel this way? I'm just going to the grocery store. you know? So yeah, that awareness that, and that that I could do something about it, that there's, something out there that can, help me shift that way of being was amazing.
100% agree. And I know for yourself, like me, you went and then trained to be a life activation practitioner. So, working with clients, what would you say? Would you say the life activation is only for a certain group of people, or what's been your experience?
Yeah. Yeah. My whole journey on the path has been one of, because I have a science degree. I'm more, I need proof. And so, I went to Healers Academy because I did Empower Thyself, and there was a shift. And so I was like 100 times the light. I still owned my business, so I was just going for the light, because I'm like, okay, if I can really go for the light and then help my business grow, this is going to be amazing. And so I got life activation. I was never really planning to use it. But when I came back, I tried it on my mother-in-law. She lives with us, and my husband, and I noticed that there was a little bit of a shift in our house. There was more joy. They were more joyful, but they were just my family. So, but then I had a friend, and she was really struggling. And I was like, well, I have this thing. And she was like, yes. And, I didn't see myself as a healer. And so I was like, okay. And I offered it to her, and her life changed completely. I have a couple of stories, but the first one, her husband, and she didn't want to be with her husband anymore, but she'd been saying that for like 15 years. And she actually lost friends because of it, because people were so tired of hanging out with her and her telling this story that she never acted on. She never did anything about. And within a month of me giving her the life activation, she sent me an email saying that her and her husband had decided to separate and they were moving into different houses, and, it took a couple years, but now she, she's on a totally different trajectory. And that was the biggest proof, because 15 years.
Yeah.
15 years.
That's amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing. And I love that you said you're from that science background, because it is beyond the logical mind what we do and how this works. But I love it because the proof is there from that direct experience, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, I did that.
Yeah.
That, for me, I don't know. I don't know what was going through my mind, because I'm so changed now. But, I think it was like, I'm not a healer. I can't do that. Or this doesn't work. This is great, but, and so when you actually see, and every person that I've done a life activation for has shifted in their life and has changed, a lot of them maybe don't even realize that that's what it, that what's the the reason that they've changed.
That's the funny thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? When oh, well, nothing's changed, and then you kind of, well, I think it has. It's funny. But our time is whizzing by. Now, you have written a book.
Yes, it just got my first copy, and yeah, I wrote because there's so many different miracles that happen through the life activation and the other healings, as well as the initiations. I wanted to write something that shared it with people, shared my own experience, because just a one-on-one conversation, sometimes you don't get the breadth of it. And so for people who are curious and want to know my journey on the path with life activations, with initiations, and how it's changed and shifted my life forever, I've written a book, and it's coming out soon. I don't have the exact date, but it'll be in the next couple months.
Wonderful. Well, that speaks volumes as well, that one would want to write a book. And I think you're right. It's just hard to have in one conversation all the miracles and all the magic that happen to us. So I'm so glad that you've documented that, and that people can, see for themselves. And I'm sure it's going to inspire many to perhaps take that step and know that they can do it too.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is for everybody.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you so much for talking to us today. And I'm sure we're going to have you back on to chat about other things for sure. That would be great.
That would be great. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. And thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in. And if you would like a life activation, we know people in 55 countries, so we will get somebody to you. So please let us know, and either Wendy or myself, or any of the life activation practitioners, which can be found on the website, we'll direct you to somebody that's close to you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.